Here we are in our AWS dashboard. I'm just going to say Elasticsearch. And here you can see here there's already a domain for flow logs, but let us go ahead and create a new one. And I'm going to call this as ES test domain. And these are the different versions of Elasticsearch available natively. For some reason, if you want to go ahead and choose the older one, you can do that, but I would strongly recommend you to go ahead with the latest version. Let us click next. And how many instances do I want to give here? So you need to give it as even numbers in case if you want to have a zone awareness. Say for example you want to 3 nodes, then there will be a problem with that because Amazon will not be able to scale it automatically in both the availability zones. So make it as an even number. Do you want a dedicated master? Then you go ahead and choose the dedicated master. But if you're experimenting it for the first time, you're learning it, you don't have to exactly go ahead with a dedicated master. But production configurations, you would want to do that. Then the storage type, just like with any other EBS volumes, you get a different type of EBS volumes, SSDs, magnetic, and if you want to go with provisioned ones, that's also possible. So for learning purposes, go with the minimum one, and then how much data you want. So you can see a simple mathematical calculation is provided here. Let us say 30 here, and it says it's the EBS volume into the count. So earlier we gave a count size of 2, so our cluster will have a total of 60 GB in space. So do I want to have encryption? All you have to do is just click on this and then your encryption will be enabled. If you have a custom key or if you have a special key that you want to encrypt your data with, then you can add it in your KMS, watch my video on doing that, and in this drop down you will be able to update your ARN and using that encryption key. So let us go ahead and give the default one, and I'm just going to mention the snapshot, that is the backup at default times. The advanced section, you don't have to really change anything here, just click on next. And which VPC do I want to put it, whether you want your Elasticsearch cluster to be publicly accessible or you want to put it into your private VPC subnet and then have security around it. So in this case, let us go ahead and choose VPC access. So I have chosen the VPC as the default VPC. Go ahead and choose which all subnets you want. Because we want zone awareness, I'm just going to choose 2 different subnets. And next is a security group. Go ahead and choose the default security group, and IAM will automatically create a service role for you. So you don't have to worry about what roles are required and everything. So if you want to secure your domain, then you can go ahead and choose any of these options. If you want to secure them by IAM, then go ahead and choose this option, or if you want to secure them by or deny them based on account numbers or IAM users, then you can choose that, or you can have a configuration that is coming from another domain also. So the easiest way to start learning is by doing this, that is you don't want to have any kind of privileges, or you don't want to require any kind of permissions and all those things. So for starting, so do not require signing request, that is anybody within this VPC. If you say for example you have another instance which is having internet access through which you can log into your Elasticsearch domain, then do that, because within the VPC it is not restricted, but from outside it will be restricted. So click on next, and it is summarizing all the fields. Go ahead and click on confirm. So what Amazon is going to do is it is going to bring up 2 machines, install the Elasticsearch domain clusters, and it is going to configure your Kibana also. The dashboard will be available and everything will be taking a couple of minutes for it to come online, and you can go ahead and check the status of the domain cluster anytime here. So let us give it a couple of minutes for it to come online. Here you can see there the cluster has finally come online. If you want to go ahead and check the cluster health, and you can see the number of nodes is 2 and its status is good. And we can go to the monitoring section also and see the different metrics that Amazon collects by default, and you can visualize them. So as of now my cluster is green. So if you want to go ahead and access your cluster, if you go to overview, you can see here the Kibana URL. So to access the Kibana, we would need a Windows machine, or you need to enable the security group, but that wouldn't be nice to open a security group to the world. So let us go ahead and boot up another Windows machine and try to access the Kibana URL. Here we are in my Windows machine that was created in the same subnet as my Elasticsearch domain. So let us go ahead and put the URL and try to connect to it. And if you set up the policy and everything you should be able to connect to it. I'm just going to add it here. So here we are. As of now, remember that our Elasticsearch domain doesn't have any data or any log stash pushing in any data here. So it doesn't have any information. So if I connect to my VPC flow logs domain, now you see here I'm connected to my ES domain that we just now created. Let me go ahead and connect to my other domain where there will be some information. So I got that URL. Let me just go ahead and put it here. And you can see here I am on the Elasticsearch domain which says search ES flow logs, and if I go to my dashboard here, there is a security group dashboard that I created, and it looks like the URL is pretty big, so let us close that error for now. But you can see here the information about my security group and my traffic that is coming in are shown here. So that is how you create an Elasticsearch domain within your AWS account and configure a Kibana dashboard also, and